Well, it's 12 o'clock in Costa Rica. So just a quick reminder to everyone. First of all, thank you for taking your time and for allowing us to share a little bit about Costa Rica in the new reality that we are all facing together. So that's the whole idea we have today, to give you new tools to, when everybody comes back, to come back stronger. So a quick reminder, everyone, if you can please turn off your videos and your audio. And the dynamics of this presentation will be, I'm going to be showing this PowerPoint presentation. And at the end of our presentation, we're going to have an opportunity for questions. So once again, please turn off audios and videos, and I'm going to start now. So, well, once again, thank you for taking that time to be here, and I'll try to be very specific about the different activities for outdoors that we have to offer. Friends, before we start into the topic of outdoor adventures, I'm pretty sure that many of you are probably wondering how Costa Rica is doing in this global situation of coronavirus. So I would like to refer you to the official website, and in this specific regard, you know how fake news are around the globe. So please make sure that you're always visiting the official site. And in this specific case, we want to refer you to the visitcostarica.com website. That's the official site of the Costa Rica Tourism Board, and also the Ministry of Health of Costa Rica. Just Google Ministry of Health of Costa Rica, Ministerio de Salud, and their website will show up there, and it has the option to look at the statistics in English as well. So statistics and general information. But you know, in general terms, the country has done a great job keeping the curve flat. We were one of the first countries in the region to get the coronavirus on March 6th. And interinstitutional efforts have been made by all the authorities of the government and the private sector as well, to the point that the total number of infected cases up to yesterday was 755 cases. 413 of them are already recovered. So as for yesterday, we had 342 active cases. We have never gone above 18 or 20 people in hospitals. So, and there is a whole monitoring system that the government keeps throughout the country through the healthcare system that is providing the services nationwide. So unfortunately, 6 people have died since March 6th. But that's just general numbers. And once again, you can always check it on the official site. I'm going to turn off my video right now so you can focus on the presentation, and then I will open it now. Okay, so here we go. Please, if you don't see it at some point, activate your audio just quickly to let me know, okay? Okay, friends, so what is, okay, now if you can turn off your audios and videos, that'd be great, okay? So adventure tours, people travel with a purpose. People are always looking for a new experience. It usually involves an own risk in this specific case. There is a controlled danger, and people a lot of times do it because they have a purpose to challenge themselves, to know their new limits, and it always takes place in natural environments. No matter where you go around the globe, that's the concept of adventure travel. So you gotta know your clients. So why do people participate in recreational outdoor activities? There are 2 dimensions to put this answer. One of them is when people make an attempt to accomplish something, or in other cases, it's when people make an attempt to avoid something. What do we mean by this? Well, when people make an attempt to accomplish something, basically, they want, again, to challenge themselves. And if they want to avoid something, it is the people that work, let's say, as executive, doctors, business administrators. They have a routine to follow every day to go to their offices and so forth. So when they have a vacation, their whole purpose is to do something different, to avoid that routine. Now, why would people choose Costa Rica to come for adventure tours, for outdoor tours? Well, we have two coasts, and basically, if you want to wake up on the Caribbean side and watch the sunrise, you can drive 5 hours to the Pacific side and watch the sunset the same day. But in between, we have mountains, we have lowlands, rivers, lakes, forests, volcanoes, and just look at the slide here. All the different images, the one on the upper right side is on the Pacific side, is the closest environment we have to a desert. We do not have deserts in Costa Rica. This is more the geology of the area. Then on the Caribbean side, it's an evergreen region. The second image, you can see flatlands, natural wetlands, canal systems, and so forth. And then you can go up to the mountains as well. So it is a very diverse place that has an elevational gradient that goes all the way from sea level up to 12,500 feet above sea level. So this provides us with over 12 life zones or microclimates, which is the result of the combination of elements such as the average transpiration of plants, average temperature, average rainfall, average elevation. So all of these elements combined provide the different life zones. So you find 33% of the life zones in the world in Costa Rica. So this means pretty much that due to the geography of Costa Rica, when you come around every corner, you're going to find very different environments. There is a stable climate spectrum, meaning the average temperature in the country is the same all year round. It doesn't vary too much. Average rainfall is what changes a little bit. Also, and very important, friends, especially when it comes to outdoor activities. In Costa Rica, we have a capable human resource. We have been in the industry, in the business for decades, and all of the companies have into their plans different training for their people, and safety and high quality standards are top notch. Maybe some of you are familiar with, I don't know if you remember famous Mark Burnett, who is the producer of Survivor, this famous TV program. He used to organize a big race around the world called the Eco Challenge. And then now that race is the Adventure Race World Series. In Costa Rica, we organized one of the stages of the Adventure Race World Series. We have even organized the World Championship in 2013, but one of the stages has taken place in Costa Rica several years. And this is an event that involves from rope courses to climbing over waterfalls, water rafting, kayaking in the ocean, or kayaking in lakes or rivers, mountain biking, trekking. So I just mentioned a few of the outdoor activities that involve this race. If an organization like this one chooses Costa Rica for one of their stages, that means that there is a potential in the country. Just briefly, my friends, I would like to remind you of the tourist regions of Costa Rica according to the Tourism Board, which is again the entity that regulates the activity in Costa Rica. And the country has been divided pretty much into 7 main tourist regions. Well, some of them, like Caribbean and North Pacific, are divided into the north and south side. And this depends on the concentration of products. So I'm going to be explaining about all the outdoor activities and referring it to each one of the regions where you can practice those. There are 3 activities that I'm going to start with, friends, here, which are in Costa Rica, but in very specific regions. Ballooning is one of them. Ballooning you can practice in the northern plains of Costa Rica, in one of those regions, close to Arenal volcano, and it'll give you the opportunity to see from a different perspective farming land, pineapple plantations, cassavas, papayas, rivers, the volcano that you can see in that slide towards the upper left side, and mountains. So ballooning is one of the activities that is located in one specific region. Flyboard is another one that is pretty new in the country, and you can practice it basically in the northern plains in Lake Arenal. Just look at that majestic photo there with the conical volcano right behind. And parasailing is another activity that is in a very specific region in the Central Pacific. Maybe some of you, if you've been to Costa Rica, recognize that region. That's Manuel Antonio National Park, one of the top 10 most beautiful parks in the world according to Forbes magazine. So you can practice parasailing there. One of those new activities also that we have been having, and it's growing in the country, and this is more spread throughout the nation, is the stand-up paddle. So why would you send guests to do stand-up paddle in Costa Rica? When you have athletes in a country or in a region that are elite athletes internationally, that is giving you proof that there are good conditions for the activity. Valeria Salustri Soto, by the way, her mom is in the tourism business. Soily Soto is a tour guide, and she's in the food and beverage, So Valeria is a very young girl that has been competing internationally and pretty much North Carolina, California, Latin America, and she's making a podium. So that is saying that we do have good conditions. Well, in this case, that's more technical. As you can see in the picture, she even won the award of the Grom of the Year for her talent and potential. So when we offer it for tourism, we do it mostly in flat waters, in bays, in gulfs, and in lakes. And you can see there the list of all the regions in Costa Rica where you can practice stand-up paddle. There are tour operators in the different regions: South Caribbean, Northern Lowlands, Guanacaste North and South. So by the way, you're going to have this presentation available on our YouTube channel, and I will talk about that at the end. So, just quick reminder, friends, if you can turn off your cameras and audio, so we have a wide broad connection. Okay, scuba diving, friends. Let's start going from water activities from the coast. Scuba diving, well, scuba means self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. So it is the equipment that is needed to go and explore the undersea world. It's a whole world down there. Is Costa Rica known for scuba diving? Well, I'll give you just a little anecdote. When the Sea Escape World Convention took place in Costa Rica, this may be 10, 12 years ago, we went to Caño Island. Well, I'm not a diver myself, but I was taking the groups to the different locations, and they said that they were very impressed. This is in the South Pacific. They were very impressed with the size of the schools of fish that they could see and the size of the fish that they could see. In that specific region, there is not a very well-developed coral reef formation per se, but which is what is going to happen mostly on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. But there are amazing spots in the North Pacific region, in Guanacaste North, and then also in the South Pacific region. And if you go to the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, you're going to find the largest coral reef formation of the country in Cahuita National Park. It's a 1,600-acre reef formation. Please let your guests know if they want to come to Costa Rica and practice scuba diving, to make sure that they carry their licenses with them, their physical licenses. I know that today it is important to, I mean, it is easy to find connections through internet and then find who is certified or who isn't, but most of the operators like to have the physical evidence too. Okay, let's stay in the water, friends. Surfing. Why would people want to come surfing to Costa Rica? Well, in our country, we have organized the World Games, the Surfing World Games, a couple of times. We have been world champions. We have been in the podium of the World Games in Portugal, and we're world champions in Nicaragua. And again, twice we have organized the World Surfing Games. Not only that, but we have world-class waves that are well known around the world. And for example, in this slide, you can see the picture on the right-hand side that is showing you a place, a remarkable place. And I'm going to leave a link over there. I'm not going to open it here because it's going to take time, but you're going to have that link and you'll be able to watch what is known as the second longest left break point in the world. What do we mean when we say left break point? If you look at the sequence of the wave action here, they're breaking towards the left side, and that's the side where surfers are going to be able to ride. So later on, you can check that video. There is surfing for beginners, flat waters in some of the popular areas of Costa Rica in the North Pacific. There are quite a few surfing schools. Then you find them in Guanacaste North, in Guanacaste South. Also in the Central Pacific, there are surfing schools. On the Caribbean side as well, and there are great places for surfing for the experts, for the professionals. You can find surf camps that are offered in Costa Rica and that visit some of these different regions of the country. So Witches Rock, by the way, this picture in the lower left side is a famous place in Santa Rosa National Park. It's a little tricky to get there, but that's mostly for advanced. However, we have for beginners and advanced. How about whitewater rafting? Yeah, we have organized the World Championship 3 times as well, in 1991, 1998, and in 2011. And we have been hosting this event. So when the only honorary president of the International Rafting Federation is one of the operators of Costa Rica, that is saying also that we know the activity and the standards. The guides get international certification. They have experience because many of the rafting guides are either national team members or they participate in the national championship and so forth. So safety is super important, and those standards are pretty high in the country. There are different levels for whitewater rafting. There is an international classification of rapids which goes from 1 and up to 6, in which 6 is pretty much huge waterfalls, impossible to raft. In Costa Rica, we do not offer class 5 commercially because the access to many of those spots is not as easy. And then when you think again of safety and potential evacuation or bringing equipment and so forth, you have to consider all those elements. So in Costa Rica, we go up to class 4 rapids, which are pretty good rapids. This picture here in the middle, the upper picture in the middle is Pacuare River, ranked in the top 5 best rivers in the world for whitewater rafting. And you need to know your clients. In this specific river, for example, they do not take people under 14 years old because of how technical some of the parts are and the distance that you go through the river. There are other rivers that are narrower canyons. You can see this picture on the left side and the one in the lower center. Those require smaller rafts for 4 people maximum because it's narrow canyons. And when there are narrow canyons, it means that the speed of the current of the rapid is a little bit faster. It's like getting water coming through a hose. The smaller the diameter, the faster it goes. But we do have also amazing river. The picture on the right-hand side only shows adults over there, but in that river in the northern plains of Costa Rica, we have taken children 5 years old and people up to 85, 87 years old. So it's for all ages, and the road actually runs parallel to the river. People don't notice because we have rainforest on both sides of the riverbed. And there are the different regions of the country where you can practice this activity. You need to find out also in which region you're going to offer it, because there are some of the rivers that are seasonal. Mostly in the Central Pacific is where the rivers are seasonal. Another activity associated to the water is the tubing. Tubing started in a very rudimentary way when people were taking just regular inner tubes and they were just jumping in the water and going down the stream. Now there are devices that are designed specifically for the activity. Same as in whitewater rafting, the helmet and the life vest are not a choice. That's mandatory to wear. There are some rivers that are flatter rivers. Other rivers are a little more technical, but the rapids that you use to go on tubing are class 2 rapids mostly, maybe here and there one class 3. So occasionally when this section of the river it gets a little bit too technical, you're going to have the guides in the water redirecting the people that come. This is individual devices. And then Northern Lowlands, Guanacaste North, and Central Pacific are 3 of the tourist regions where you can practice the tubing. Always staying close to the water. The kayaking is another activity that is associated to the water. I'm sorry. So kayaking, we're talking here about flat waters. Most of the time, this is sit-on-top kayaks that you can practice on rivers, lakes, canals, mangroves, and sea. You need to keep in mind here that you need to know where you're going to be kayaking. For example, some people might wonder if you can recognize this picture, middle on the left-hand side, that's Tortuguero Canal. Some people might say, how do you go kayaking in Tortuguero if there are crocodiles in the water? Well, the canals are pretty wide. The water currents are not very strong, so it allows people to be able to maneuver the kayak. And it's super important, like in any other activity, always the tour operators will take the time to give the instructions, the safety instructions. That is a must. It's mandatory to do. And in these pictures, you can see, as well as in the in these pictures, there is no people wearing helmets. And why is that? Usually these type of kayaking activities happen in deep water. So if you happen to tip over, which again, it will not happen everywhere, it's very rare. It could happen when you're sea kayaking, when you're out in the ocean or in an area where it can get very windy. And if that happens, then you're not gonna hit your head. So, but life vests are mandatory, and there is always instructions about how to paddle together, and there is always marriage counseling afterwards when couples paddle together, because that starts some fights. Windsurfing. Windsurfing is another water-related activity, and the windsurfing takes place in Costa Rica basically in two spots. One of them is Lake Arenal. When you're driving around Lake Arenal, when you go to the west side of the lake, you're going to notice that there are lots of whitecaps over there, especially, let's say, February, March, April. Those are the months when it gets windier. You're going to see a lot of windmill farms. So that's telling you that there is a good source of wind over there, in this case for energy. But that is one of the world-class spots for windsurfing in Costa Rica. And the other one is the picture on the right-hand side, is up in La Cruz area in Salinas Bay. That's very close to the border with Nicaragua in the North Pacific region, in the upper left corner of Costa Rica. That's a place that is well known for windsurfing. There are some schools that can teach you windsurfing as well. Now we're gonna start making a transition from water to land, and we're gonna start here with some of the activities associated to rope courses. Canyoning is one of those activities associated to rope course. What is canyoning? Canyoning is basically rappelling down walls, but in this case, it usually happens in waterfalls. So you need to let your guests know that they need to bring a change of clothes and comfortable clothes. You know, they're gonna get soaking wet. This activity is done in Costa Rica commercially. The guides are always controlling, if we talk about safety, controlling the rappel, the descent. If you see the picture in the lower side, on the left hand side, you see one of the guides holding the rope. It goes through a figure 8, the rope, and then the tension that the guide puts in it is going to make it slow down or come down. So it is regulated by the guides. They need to wear a helmet as well, and you see also there are all the regions where it can be practiced in Costa Rica: Central Valley, Northern Lowlands, Punta Arenas and Gulf Islands, Central Pacific, and North Guanacaste. Ziplining. Why would people want to zipline in Costa Rica? Well, when you go to Paris, you want to go to the Eiffel Tower. You go to New York, you want to go to the Statue of Liberty. If you go to Rome, you want to go to the Colosseum. So there are things that are iconic to each country. Ziplining was invented in Costa Rica. So in the 1970s, end of the 70s, beginning of the 1980s, some biologists were doing some research in the upper level of the forest, the canopy of the forest. That's why the activity name, or ziplining today. So ziplining was invented here. You can find it pretty much all over Costa Rica, spread throughout the country now, and now it's spread actually throughout the world. Can you trust the safety here? Yes, actually there are Costa Ricans that are being hired in other latitudes to design the zip lining. Actually, the Guinness record of the longest zip lines belongs to a Costa Rican. We have very long cables here, and if you pay attention to these pictures, you see the one on the upper right hand side, that lady, Dorothy. I asked her if I could use her picture because I was so proud of her. She was 89 when she did that zip lining. This is maybe 10, 12 years ago. And then children, that's my son, by the way, when he was 4.5 years old. You see the safety here, 2 cables when you have more challenges, 2 pulleys also. And then some of the zipline activities have started combining with other activities related to rope courses, like a rappel down in canyons of rivers, and it's done also in the forest. Rock climbing. Rock climbing is an activity that is more technical. It's usually more for experts. And here I decided to add this picture on the upper left side. This is actually an activity that is done in some of the zip lines. It's a natural wall. It's in the canyon of a river, but they have placed some extra help, some elements there that provide extra help to the people that are climbing, or there is a rope system and a harness that if people get tired, then they're going to be pulled up by the guides. So rock climbers, professional rock climbers would not consider that rock climbing, but that's a good way to start. Now, the other pictures that you see here are in different regions of the country, in the South Guanacaste, North Pacific, actually, sorry, Punta Arenas and Gulf Islands. This is down in the tip of Peninsula de Nicoya. Then some lava walls, lava rocks, the picture here on the right-hand side, in Cachi in the Central Valley, some lava flows. And then in the south of San Jose, also the Pico Blanco mountain. You see, in these cases, they just use the natural crevices and the natural surfaces to climb. And then also in Chirripó Mountain, first of all, it's a challenge to get there, and we're going to talk about that when we see the trekking and hiking. But you can practice rock climbing there in these volcanic intrusions that we have in Chirripó Mountain, the highest peak of the country at 12,500 feet. Associated to this, there is another activity that is called bouldering. Bouldering is usually a type of climbing that is done in smaller rocks or boulders. That they can be small, but they are technical. So that's another of the activities. Horseback riding. Oh, that whiskey is good. Just kidding. Horseback riding. We have horseback riding all over Costa Rica. You see all the regions, South Caribbean, Northern Lowlands. Pretty much the one we exclude for horseback riding there is the Northern Caribbean region, and basically because it's a whole wetland system with natural canals. And other than that, all over Costa Rica, you can practice the activity. If you pay attention to the three pictures here on the slide, in all of them, the guests are wearing helmets. That is a must. Even if the person, the guest, is an expert, it is mandatory in Costa Rica by law to wear a helmet when you go horseback riding. It can be practiced in pasture lands, you know, and the horses like to gallop, or some of the guests like to gallop in those pasture lands. You can go through mountainous terrain in Arenal volcano with some ups and downs, and it is an activity that takes place all over Costa Rica. Regarding caves, there are basically two places in Costa Rica where you can go into caves. The picture on the left-hand side shows some wet stalactites, and some of them stalactites and stalagmites already connected there. This is an interesting system in the northern plains of Costa Rica, something that you can do either from Sarapiquí area or from Arenal volcano to visit the Venado caves. These are underground rivers, and it's horizontal. Now, if you go to Guanacaste, to the peninsula de Nicoya, you go to Barraonda Caves. It is a national park. In this case, it's vertical caves. You need to go down 200 meters, or about 600 feet on a descent to reach the caves, the Terciopelo Cave, which is the most popular. And so those are the two spots in Costa Rica where you can do the activity. Something I really like of visiting the caves is that you're supporting the local economy also, because the people that rent the equipment and provide the services to go into the caves are usually people from the local communities. Hiking and trekking, well, there is for all levels as well. You can hike through trails that go to lava flows on some of our volcanoes. We have over 112 volcanic formations throughout the country, so there is plenty of that. And there are some trails that are flat, other ones that get more technical because you get to the rugged lava flows, and then you need to climb a little. But there is hiking for everyone in the country. You see the picture there in the middle too, in the upper part. There are beautiful hanging bridges, walks that can take an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. These ones are usually done with thematic interpretation. So a lot of senior citizens love to exercise, and those are activities that they can still have access to. There are other ones that are more challenging and that fall into the trekking standard, which is visiting, for example, Chiripo Mountain, the highest peak of the country. The first day to get to the summit, some people take from 6 and up to 9 hours, depending on their physical condition. And there is a very steep gain in elevation from around 3,000 feet above sea level up to 12,500 feet. And you do that climb in one stretch, and then you can spend some days there and go and explore and visit. Coming into craters of volcano, the people on the right-hand side, or the picture on the right-hand side, is coming out of the crater of Poás volcano. Right now, that one is not open because Poás has had its eruptive events. But in these specific cases, you need some permits, and that's why it's important to communicate with your Costa Rican partner companies so they can give you some advice. And we're about to finish. Mountain biking, also, as you have noticed in the previous activities that I've been describing, I have mentioned of world championships and world events that take Costa Rica into consideration for these competitions. One competition that put Costa Rica on the map for mountain biking is the famous Ruta de los Conquistadores, the Route of the Conquistadors, that for many years was considered the hardest multi-stage mountain biking race on the planet. Today it's considered one of the hardest, as it says here, one of the toughest races on the planet. It's a 3-day race that goes from the Pacific to the Caribbean, from sea level to sea level, but going through Irasu volcano, which is, or by Irasu volcano, which is located at 11,400 feet. So you come up a little, go down, come up a little, go down. If you add all the climbing in 3 days, it's 26,000 feet. People come to Costa Rica to participate in these events, but there are many other people that come to join them or to give them support. So that's a good source to attract tourism to the country. And then we offer other activities in Costa Rica. Well, you can see the type of terrain there. It can be done on paved roads, gravel roads, double track, single track. Bike parks exist in Costa Rica in quite a few regions, but it can also be included in a multi-sport event. And then here you can see the type of terrain. The upper left picture is some double track. These are teenagers doing the activity as part of summer camps that they do in Costa Rica. Then you can go by volcanoes also up in the highlands. When you go coast to coast, you can do it in 8 days, and you can choose how difficult the terrain you want it to be. And river crossings happen. Then the picture on the upper right hand side is also one of the options that you have when cruise ships come to Costa Rica. They offer a 1-day tour to Tivives, that's in the central Pacific. So mountain biking again is another of the activities that you can do in Costa Rica for adventure tours. As you have seen, we have spoken about activities that take place in the water, other activities in a combination of water and the mountainous terrain in the mainland. So we have tried to cover the most popular activities, the ones that we know that safety-wise have very high standards and that are regulated in the country. So on behalf of Pro Imagen, Grupo Pro Imagen, and of myself as well, I want to thank you for taking the time, for joining us here. We're going to have time for questions, but before we go into the questions, I just want to remind you that our next seminar is going to be on May 20th, and this is going to be Destinations of the Beaten Path in Costa Rica. I will have the honor to be able to share a little bit of this information with you, places that are maybe less commercial or less known, but that offer as well the beauty of Costa Rica. So you can register for that seminar. For that webinar, it's going to take place on May 20th at the same time as today. So friends, remember this presentation is going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel of Pro Imagen Costa Rica, and then you will have access to it. I'm going to close the presentation here, and I'm going to activate my video so we can go on the questions session. And please, friends, if you can ask through the chat, I will be able to read those questions. Give me 1 second just to leave here. the presentation. Okay, and I'm going to activate my video here. Okay. All right. So I guess you can see me now. Okay, friends, if you have questions, I have the chat activated too, so you can start asking. Okay, here I have one question from okay, Bob here. When will airports open? Thank you. Yes, I did not mention this at the beginning when I was giving the update, and I'm gonna go back up to questions that we had before. Okay, friends, the decisions in Costa Rica are made by our authorities according to what is happening. They keep reading the situation, the numbers, the statistics that Costa Rica is showing, and that's how decisions are made. As for now, they said the airports and the borders were going to stay closed until May 15th. We are going to wait for a report on May 11th. That's the next time the government is going to announce new restrictions. And so May 15th will be the next time. Let me just check here for more questions. Let's see. Okay, Costa Rica was my very first zip lining many years ago. Great, great. That was, let me see, I'm just looking for the questions here. Thanks, very complete webinar. Thank you so much, Rafael. Are there any plans to upgrade the cruise pier at Limon? Okay. Yes, friends, we have, and I understand your questions. We have projects that now the situation is with all the coronavirus. The economy of the country is not going to be stopped, and that's what the government has been insisting, that we cannot focus in one specific situation. So they have been announcing some different projects in infrastructure, which is actually what the government say will be one of the measures to reactivate our economy. But there are projects already to improve the pier on the Caribbean side for cruise ships. Let me see. Video, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, Lynn? Yes, you're going to have access to the PowerPoint presentation. It's going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Okay, Laura says, Laura, who are some of your favorite adventure tour operators? Do you have a list or reputable operators? Okay, Laura, we have 93 members in our association in ProImagen, and many of them are tour operators. They are certified by the Tourism Board of Costa Rica. If you go into our website, proimagencostarrica.com, you will see the list of the people that belong to our association, and I can guarantee you that they all are well qualified and they follow the standards of safety. And as you know, if you put together a package, multi-sport, for example, we're going to be using different suppliers that are located in specific parts of the country. But as for our members, they all follow the high standards of safety, and they were members also of the Costa Rica Tourism Board, which is the entity that regulates the activity. So on our website, proimagencostarrica.com, you can find quite a few of the tour operators in the country. Let me see. Where is, okay, Owen, where is the Sky Ride? The Sky Ride, I wonder if you mean the aerial trams. Because the aerial trams, now we have a few locations where they are. There is one on the close to Braulio Carrillo National Park on the way to the Caribbean side. There are aerial trams also in the Central Pacific region of Costa Rica. We have aerial trams in Monteverde. in the northern plains in Arenal volcano region. So I wonder if that's what you meant by skyride, those aerial trams that in some occasions they're combined with a zip lining activity. So they, to get to the first platform, you go through one of them. Okay, let me see. Yes, okay, aerial tram. So Central Pacific of Costa Rica, Monteverde Cloud Forest, which is part of the Gulf Islands region of Costa Rica, and then in the northern plains, you also find an aerial tram. There is another aerial tram also on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica on the way to Limon. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions. I'm just gonna go back up through the chat again to make sure that I'm not leaving any questions out here. Okay, I think I have answered the questions that we have so far. If I'm leaving some or any question behind, please, if you can ask it again, I will appreciate it. Okay, yes. The other chats I see is when my video was not showing. Okay. Okay, here we have more questions. Let me see. Okay, who is the best resource to contact about relocating to Costa Rica? Relocating, Coco, is it meaning to like retire or to move to Costa Rica? Or I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. If you can write it again, and then I can answer it. Was ACOPRO rescheduled? I believe you mean the Expo Tour. Yes, I had the Expo Tour. We don't have dates yet, but it was because it usually takes place in May in Costa Rica, and since the airport or the borders are closed until May 15th, at least for now, it will it was canceled, or it will be rearranged in terms of dates. Best area for beach in Costa Rica? Well, that's an interesting question. We have beaches on both coasts of Costa Rica. Just the North Caribbean of Costa Rica is a destination that we do not offer as a beach destination, more as a rainforest destination, because you cannot go into the water there. It's a very straight coastline, and there are strong under tows, riptides, and so forth. But South Caribbean is spectacular, amazing, and it has that flavor of the Caribbean culture. And then also the whole Pacific coast, North Pacific, Central Pacific, have amazing beach destinations. The advantage of Costa Rica is that because of its geography and the coastline, the coves, the bays, gulfs, and so forth, there are a lot of beautiful beach destinations. So pretty much all over Costa Rica, there are amazing beach destinations. In this regard, if you have specific requirements from your guests, whether people like more quiet places or people want other places that are more, that have like nightlife and so forth, then talk to your Costa Rican partners and they can give you an orientation about the specific locations. Okay, let me see. I just got a call.
Excuse me, Ronald.
Yes.
I think there's someone with a microphone on that would like to ask a question. I will give the word.
Okay, great. And then I will come back to the chat because there are other questions that I'm not answering yet. Okay, please go ahead on the mic. Is it Rafael? Rafael Rodolfo? Okay. While I wait for the question on the mic, I'm just going to answer this one that I'm getting from Virginia. Somebody just called and asked, do you think travel will be open in August? Okay, as we were saying, the curve is very flat in Costa Rica, and we're very happy that now there are more people recovered than people infected in the country. And in the last 2 weeks or so, we have been getting one-digit numbers of new cases. In some days, 2 new cases. In some days, 6 new cases, or so forth. So it seems to be controlled, but our authorities insist in that they will keep announcing the new ways to proceed in Costa Rica. Accordingly, they will be given reports. May 11th will be the next time our government will announce if we keep the restrictions or if we open. Actually, they just opened a little bit, but hopefully August will be open. In this case, it also depends on the international markets where our guests are coming from. So they say that they keep that into consideration also to decide when to reopen. But May 11th, we're going to have a new announcement by the government. So remember, the Ministry of Health website gives the updates day by day, and also the visitcostarica.com website. Those are the official sources where you can get the most recent updates. Do we have the person on the microphone that had a question? Okay, I will keep waiting for that question. Bob asks also, what does a typical FAM look like? FAM and familiarization trip. Was that the question? Okay, and I also see retire was a question that I was asked before. Who is the best source to contact for retirement in Costa Rica? Well, I have to tell you something. 3 or 4 days ago, when the president announced or gave his speech about the state of the nation, and he announced or actually mentioned what the government has done during the last year, which always happens on the Labor Day on May 1st in Costa Rica. He announced that actually one of the emphasis they're going to be putting on is to attract more people to retire to the country, to Costa Rica. So in our tour, a company that are affiliated to the association, I guarantee you that there are people that know about this, what are the best places to retire, and what are some of the requirements. So you can check with them, and they can give you an orientation, because new incentives are going to be announced, and our government does offer incentives for people to move to Costa Rica. Actually, if you can find a book that was written by a couple who retired in Costa Rica, it's known, it's called Potholes to Paradise. This couple, she's from Germany and he's from Canada. They describe what they went through to retire in Costa Rica, and they end up describing how they don't regret it. They believe they live in paradise. So Potholes to Paradise is a book that can give you a good idea of what it is like to retire in Costa Rica, and can give you an orientation also of where to go. Let's see. Please send the presentation by email. Okay, Huachipelin includes river, horses, and nature for northeast area, right? Someone? Yes, Huachipelin is a hacienda in the northwest of Costa Rica. That is a whole adventure center. You have all the activities there. Okay, I will answer the question. I believe someone was asking about the FAM trips. So our FAM trips, yes. Okay, here is what does it look like? Okay, please repeat the book. The book name is Potholes to Paradise. Potholes to Paradise. By the way, when they wrote it, our road system was terrible. In infrastructure, they have been doing an amazing job, and there has been a lot of investment going on in the country, building new roads and improving the road system that we have. So when the book was written, there were lots of potholes. Our roads were terrible, but they said, when they described in the book what they went through to retire in Costa Rica, it was like going through a road with potholes, but they ended up in paradise. So Potholes to Paradise. Tessa, I can't remember her last name. Tessa is the name of the woman. Okay, friends, the familiarization trip, the FAM trip. Well, there are different FAM trips that we have organized in Costa Rica, depending on the target groups that the travel agents work with. And then there are some that the idea is that we try to include the different regions, the tourist regions that we showed on the map in some of the first slides, and so that you can visit all those regions, and in each one of them, we're letting you know which are the activities that you can be doing. So types of hotels, because you can design a package in which the budget can be adapted by the type of hotels or the type of places where people stay, and including similar activities according to the budget of your guests. But basically, we try to visit different regions of the country and explain what are the different products that you have in those regions. I don't know if that answers your question about the fun trips. Okay, is there more than one rainforest in Costa Rica? Yes, there is more than one rainforest in Costa Rica. Well, the country, again, the topography goes from sea level and up to 12,500 feet above sea level. We have lowland rainforests that go up to around 1,500 feet above sea level. We have pre-montane rainforests. We have montane rainforest, highland rainforests. That is all depending on the elevation of the country. Also, remember that because we're a small mass of only 19,000 square miles, the size of Costa Rica, surrounded by two big oceans, and that by those high mountains, all these microclimates create very different and specific conditions. For example, it's not the same to visit the rainforest in the South Pacific of Costa Rica in Corcovado National Park than visiting a rainforest in on the Caribbean side or the northern plains of Costa Rica. The species that you find are going to vary depending on the forest, because the mountain ranges in the middle have created a barrier that has allowed the evolution. So there is more than one rainforest in Costa Rica. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Still waiting here. Let me see if there are other announcements that I wanted to make. I already gave you the different websites. Okay, thank you, Kelly. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, Virginia, will this be recorded? I had trouble getting on with link. Yes, Virginia, we're going to upload it on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Pro Imagen Costa Rica, Pro Imagen Costa Rica, and that's where it will be uploaded, so you will have access to it. Okay, any other questions? Con mucho gusto, Virginia. Okay, looking forward to coming back. Bob, you're always welcome to Costa Rica. We're truly looking forward to welcoming everyone back to our country. I want to let you know also that if you go to international sites of the travel business, quite a few of them are mentioning Costa Rica as the destination to visit after this global situation is controlled. And one of the reasons is the amazing healthcare system that we have in Costa Rica. Before the virus came out, Costa Rica was considered the third best healthcare system in the world. And it's an institution that has been there for decades. So this is not something that we were improvising. The result we're getting about the virus and controlling it is not something improvised. It's the result of years and years of planning. So that's just one of the reasons, together with all the product that we have in Costa Rica and that you have been seeing with the lecture that Michelle gave in the previous days and the different topics that we covered today, and we're going to cover on May 20th. Remember, that's the next webinar, May 20th. So we invite you to register. Okay, any more questions? Okay. Well, friends, if there are no more questions, once again, I'm very thankful to you for taking the time. We will get over this. I send your way good vibrations. Remember, thinking is magnetic. If we think positive, that's what we attract to our lives. And let me see, I'm getting another question here. How to find long-term places to stay? And was a new program for people interested in living in Costa Rica. Okay, yes, this new program about retirement, We don't have the details yet. When our president announced it 2 days ago, he said that in 2 days, I believe that's today or tomorrow, the Ministry of Treasury of Costa Rica and the Ministry of Economy are going to announce what they have in mind to reactivate our economy, and then they will be mentioning this one. So keep in contact with us, with our association Pro Imagen, and with the official site, visit costarica.com, and then we'll be giving new updates about that. Unfortunately, right now, I do not have specific information about what the incentives will be to retire here in Costa Rica. And then regarding places, long-term places to stay, I would say this is going to depend on the different facts. Okay, one, what the interest is. If it's only relaxation, there are places that we have in Costa Rica, like the northwest of the country, and there will be a webinar that will talk about that. That is wellness. In the northwest of Costa Rica, in the south part of Guanacaste, there is a place that is world renowned for as a yoga retreat place, and it's an amazing place to just come and relax. If you want more active places to stay in, so it all depends on the interest of the people, if they want to come and stay for a longer term, or if they want to learn Spanish, for example. There are places that we have in the Central Valley near the cities, or in the cloud forest by the coast, where there are Spanish schools also, and they have very interesting programs that coordinate other activities that you can do as well. So it depends on what people want to do. If they want to come and stay for a long term, then that's what we would recommend. There are so many options that I would like to be able to give you a specific answer now, but basically it depends on the interest of the person that wants to come and stay for a longer term. Okay, let me see. Spa and relaxation. Okay, spa and relaxation. Yes, I would say we're going to have a webinar. I believe that's going to be in August. Pro Imagen will announce it soon, and that's going to be talking specifically about wellness. So we hope to answer your question there, but there are places in the northern plains, in the Sarapiquí area, where you can go and do a lot of yoga retreats and relaxation. There are places by the coast, also in the North Pacific region. There are places in the Central Pacific as well for relaxation. But we're going to have a specific webinar on wellness, and I hope to answer your question then. Okay. Have to leave? Yes, no problem. Friends, please, if some of you have to leave, you can do that. Don't worry. I'm not going to. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be upset if you have to leave now. So, any more questions? I'm sorry. My son has school here, and he had to come to pick up the mouse. I'm sorry for that. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Friends, once again, on behalf of Asociación Pro Imagen Costa Rica, on behalf of the Tourism Board of Costa Rica and myself, thank you for taking the time. I wish you the best. I hope your families are safe. Take care, and I hope to see you soon. Good vibrations, and remember, magnetic thinking, pura vida.